I've been meaning to share this story for a while, but honestly kind of forgot about it. And with it being the new year, and I'm thinking about changing some things, and looking at a new year and the opportunities and possibilities that it has, and all that kind of stuff, it reminded me of this kind of revelation that I had probably about a year ago, and it's this story about this old guitar that a friend of mine had. It was an old guitar, but it was a very beautiful guitar, and it had a few scratches and kind of blemishes on the body, but like it was all just signs that she had it for a long time and had loved it and played it and all that sort of stuff. It had some had some old and nasty strings on it, and it hadn't been taken care of in a while, and it had been stored away and kind of forgotten about. She thought that it didn't sound good, and it wasn't really worth anything because it wasn't a super expensive guitar, and so without all the care that goes into it, she kind of just didn't really see the value in it, or didn't see the worth for what it could be because of the strings and all the blemishes on it and things like that. And she told me that no matter how hard she tried, it wouldn't stay in tune. And that's usually what happens when you don't change out strings on a guitar for a while. They don't hold in tune, they get kind of gross, and it's just signs that things need to be fixed and replaced. So I assured her that this guitar wasn't worthless, that with enough work and enough time, I could make it sound nice, and I can make it hold tune and play beautiful music again. It kind of felt like I was almost pleading for the guitar in that moment, saying, let me intervene on behalf of this instrument, because she kind of wanted to get rid of it. It was kind of taking up space, and she wasn't playing it as much. She thought it wasn't doing the one thing that it was supposed to do, which is play music. So I told her, I'll buy the strings, and I'll clean it all up and make it nice. And if you don't want it, that's fine. But just let me try. Let me do the work. I'll pay the price for it. And so she agreed, and I started the process for it all. And I bought some new strings, and in my kind of dining room area, I set the stage for this whole process. So I had a blanket laid down for it, and had all my tools and utensils and things I needed to get the job done. Everything's all laid out, and it was at that moment that you have that it's now or never kind of moment where once we press on with this, there's no going back. So it's time to lock in. And so part of that process is loosening up the strings, relieving all this tension in these old strings, and I physically cut them. It's usually easier to handle that way, so I'll loosen the tension, and then I cut away at these old strings. Because this is not my instrument, and I'm trying to be careful, and I don't want to ruin anything, so I'm taking my time and I'm being careful with it. And it kind of feels like I'm a surgeon at this moment. I remember looking back, having this guitar laid out on a table like this with my lamp over it so I can see all the details of it, and I'm cutting into it and kind of exposing it and making it vulnerable and really getting into it. Once you get all of the old strings out the way, you can really get a look at the fretboard and everything underneath where the strings are, and just how dirty it is and just how messy it is, and it happens. It's natural for that sort of stuff to happen whenever you play or whenever it gets stored in a certain way. But it's just part of maintenance. It's part of the process. So I start doing what I always do, and I start scrubbing away at this fretboard and making it clean and smooth, and making these frets shine, these like metal strips, making them shine again, and getting all this mess out from around it and underneath it. It's not easy. It takes work to clean all that off and get the new strings ready, and immediately it's visible how different the two strings are. The old ones are are dark and dull, and these new strings are so bright and clear and smooth, and it feels fresh. It feels almost alive again. And once I was all done with it, and I finally got to show my friend the finished product of all this work, she finally saw the instrument the way that I always had seen the instrument, for what it could be. Sure, the body still had some scratches on it or little scuffs here and there from all that time that she had it, and it's not perfect, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't need to be perfect to be able to play beautiful music, because now it's doing the thing that it was made to do. It's able to hold tune and play these beautiful chords and play music in the hands of a musician, despite all those little blemishes that may be around it. But once you get to the core of it and you start working through it and you make this instrument play the way it's supposed to, all those other things don't really matter. And it was in that moment that I started to see myself as that instrument, as that guitar. After going through all that work with it, after finally handing it back over to its owner, and she saw the beauty in it, the way I saw the beauty in it before all that work that we put into it. But I felt like that guitar. I was holding on to old stuff. I was ashamed of how dirty I was underneath. I was hiding behind all this stuff that needs to be cut out of my life. I was unable to see myself the way Jesus sees me, for what I could be, for the new creation that I could be, given the work that it goes into it. Instead, letting the world around me dictate my worth and my value. It's not easy. It takes time and it takes work. It takes being vulnerable and opening yourself up to Jesus to get in there and clean things up. Though it may be hard, it is so worth it. It's scary, it's hard, but there's nothing like being on the other side of that and realizing your worth in Him instead of through everyone around you. Believe me when I say that you are a beautiful instrument of God when you are in the skilled hands of Jesus Christ. And you allow Him to do that work, wash you clean and make you new.